Most games load a bunch of files after launching. DLLs, art levels, sound, etc. This allows less RAM to be used since files that aren't currently required could be unloaded, and it allows your players to modify those files. That's clearly the right way to architect many games, but it shouldn't be the default or only way, especially for indie games. If your entire game, all files included, is less than 10 megabytes, you're hardly saving any RAM by not loading it all at once. If you didn't design your game to support mods, then players messing with the files may just cause bugs and crashes. So why not build all the files right into your game executable? This isn't a new idea. Back when games shipped on cartridges, they were loaded onto ROM chips, which a console's CPU could read from more or less directly. That's why I call this cartridge-style development. Not sponsored. Buy my game NSMG on Steam and leave a positive review. On modern systems, loading files from disk is non-deterministic. If the OS or disk is busy doing something else, loading your next level may take arbitrarily long. If the user is running your game from an external or networked drive, they may even lose access while playing. If, instead, you bundle all the data required by your game into the executable binary, then, once your game has initially loaded into RAM, it will never fail to access any game data. Every file access is a potential point of failure, which your code needs to account for if you want to avoid random crashes, bloating your code for potentially no real benefit. Here's a simple example. This C console program loads and displays text from one of two files, depending on what the user enters. The code waits for the user input, then loads the appropriate file and displays it. If, for any reason, that file fails to load, then we have to handle that with additional code. In this case, if the program can't access the data, it may as well just exit. Here's the same program, except the data is compiled right into the binary using C23's embed directive. Now, once the binary is loaded from disk into RAM and started, it's guaranteed to work. The code is simpler, and when we ship this program, it's a single executable file. Embed doesn't work well for all data, since it just turns the file directly into an array of bytes. Say our game's art assets are stored as bitmaps, but our game doesn't need the BMP header information. Or we're loading JSON serialized data into internal structures. In those cases, we can move the file conversion logic out of the game binary and into the build step instead. We can do that by writing a separate program to load all the game's assets, convert them into the appropriate data formats, and output the data in a pair of CH files to be built and included by the game. That's exactly how I build my games for NSMG. As you can see, each game ships as a single binary with every file built right in. And in the code I just include resources.h and refer to any of the sprites, music, and so on directly, without any housekeeping. So what do you think of cartridge-style development? Cheers!